So we all know that medical school is hard and it's very challenging. Many of the things that we go through to actually get the title of becoming a doctor are very, very hard. And so I started this review series on my YouTube channel to educate medical students and those that are wishing to get into medical school of how medical school really is. That's how I came up with this series of how to survive medical school. Now, in this video rather, I will teach you about the 5 things I wish I knew before getting into medical school. My name is Dr. Moses KAZEVU, and this is my YouTube channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon to be receiving notifications of such videos every time I post. Grab your piece of paper, grab your pen, and so the first and foremost thing that I actually learned is that there is an insane work schedule. Now, the workload is pretty much insane. Each and every single year has different challenges. So I shall begin with the first year medical school up until the final year medical school, so that each and every single one of you benefits from these videos. So I'll give you a pretty good analogy that will help you understand how medical school is. So first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and fifth year, which is the final year. I'm not going to be counting the preclinical or pre-medical sciences because those are pretty much not so challenging. If you fail to actually go through those, then I don't think medical school is really for you. Just joking. It may still be for you. So the first thing is you're going to be taking different courses at different years. So in first year, you're going to be taking what I refer to as your basic sciences, your anatomy, your physiology, microbiology, behavioral science, which is also psychology. You will also be taking biochemistry. Now, these courses are very challenging, and third year is the leap between preclinical or pre-medical sciences, pre-med sciences, and getting into preclinicals is very huge. The amount of data that you're actually going to be receiving during the lectures, during the different courses that you're going to be taking is quite immense, and the amount of detail and knowledge that you have to acquire is a lot. So third year is very, very challenging. If you make it through third year, then I think you are 60% there to being a doctor. Now, moving on to second year, which is what you're calling fourth year medical school. Now, fourth year medical school is the worst. Literally, I would never want to do that year ever again because it's a year where I almost even gave up. I almost quit medical school. And yes, I did almost quit medical school. But fourth year is very, very challenging. It has a lot of things that you have to gain because it's preparing you to get into your clinicals and starting to see your patients. So it's bombarding you with all the information that you need to know regarding patient diseases, patient conditions, patient drugs that people are going to be taking. And it's a lot of work to actually think about it. And when you get into fourth year, you realize that the time is very limited and the year actually flies by so quickly before you actually realize that the academic year is done and you have to take your exam, and you're so behind in so many things. And it's like you're constantly behind. Even on day one, I felt like I was behind with the syllabus. That's how fourth year actually is. Someone actually gave me an analogy that was like this. Medical school is like drinking water, yeah? So in pre-medical sciences, it's like you're opening the tap and it's just dripping and you're just drinking from a dripping tap. You get frustrated at a point because the knowledge is coming in slowly, it's trickling through. Then after you get into medical school, it's like you now open the tap and it's like a slow flow, okay? A slow flow in second year. Then when you get now into third year or the first year of medical school, it's like now you open the tap full blast, as in the end, and you try and drink from that tap with your mouth. It's a bit difficult to do. Then fourth year is like you go to a fire hydrant. A fire hydrant is one of those things that comes out from the ground that shoots water at a very high pressure. and is used to put out fires pretty much. So if you try to drink from a fire hydrant, it's almost close to impossible because the pressure is just too much. And then fifth year is like it's raining all over and you're trying to gather as much information as possible and drink from the rain without any cup or just opening your mouth and it's raining everywhere and you feel like you're losing information each and every single time. That's a pretty much good analogy of how medical school is. So fourth year is very, very challenging. It's hard. There are a lot of work hours that you have to put in. The work schedule is pretty insane, and you have to be very, very dedicated and give up so many things at fourth year. Then moving on to fifth year. Fifth year was pretty strange. Why do I say it was pretty strange? Because you're getting to interact now with patients. You're getting to apply the knowledge that you learned back in fourth year. And third year, you may sometimes have these lapses in memory where you do not understand certain things. I remember on my day one clinical experience, they asked me so many questions that I had no idea, I had never heard of, but eventually you get used to the routine. The only downfall of the clinical years is there is a lot of standing. I think the standing is what really kills you, and you'll be tired all the time. The fatigue never ends. Once you get into fifth year and you're standing all the time, you wish that you would actually go back to your pre-clinicals where you were actually seated and not really standing all the time. I recall actually passing out on my first day of internal medicine because of the standing. Then sixth year is pretty much chilled. It's like a medical student's holiday, and you get to learn cool things like radiology, where you look at certain images. You get to learn how to read x-rays, CT scans. You get to learn how to read many other things. Then the other thing about sixth year is that you're going to be having to do a research on a certain topic of interest, and this research on your topic of interest is going to be either medical related or non-medical related, but of course it should have some significance in your interests, and it's a pretty cool thing to do, though it takes up a lot of time and it has a lot of work, and you have to learn about referencing and all that stuff, study designs and sample sizes, and that can be stressful as well. Then I think I really enjoyed radiology, I really enjoyed psychiatry, and sixth year all in all isn't so bad. Then final year was pretty immense. Now in the final year, you have to have this responsibility on you. You have your fifth years that are under you, that you are mentoring. You have to learn certain things. You have to learn certain procedures. You have to get a hold of the drugs, the dosages, and everything is like it's coming at you, and you're actually ready, preparing yourself to be an intern. And trust me, the transition from moving from being a student, a seventh year medical student, and being an intern happens very quickly. Before you realize it, you're no longer a student and you have all this responsibility on you. So seventh year usually has that immense feeling of having to deal with learning and being expected to know everything about anything. So that's one thing that I wish I knew before getting into medical school, the insane workload that you have in medical school. Now, moving on to the second thing that I actually wish I knew before getting into medical school is the death to social life. Your social life will pretty much die. In third year, you may be able to keep afloat and actually maintain a proper social life. But once you get to fourth year, your friends, if you have friends that are outside medical school, they'll hardly ever see you. If you get into your clinicals, if your friends outside medical school, they will think that you're always complaining about being tired and you're always not there. When they want to go out for certain things, you decline that because you just want to sleep. And it's understandable because medical school is largely tiring. And I wish I really knew this because I would have prepared myself mentally and know that I would always be tired. And this is one thing that's not really emphasized when you get into medical school, is that your social life dies. It really dies. You become friends with the people that you're learning with because you're with them 90% of the time. If your friend and you are doing medicine, then that's pretty good. Then you'll be able to understand each other and you'll be able to relate. But most of the times you find yourself and your friends complaining that your friends want to do things when you are tired and you do not want to do anything with them, and you hardly have time for them because you are pent up with books. Of course, if you entertain your social life more than your academic life, you find out that you fall behind in academics and you won't do so well at medical school. So you really have to find that balance, and you have to sacrifice your social life for you to actually make it in medical school. And that's one concept that many people actually battle with. Then Moving on to the third thing that I wish I knew before getting into medical school is that you are forced into making friends. I know this is very weird. I, as an introvert, yes, I am an introvert, by the way. I find it very difficult into talking to people, making interactions, making new friends. So if you're an introverted person, brings you some social anxiety. Talking to people, talking to new people gives you social anxiety. Answering questions in public gives you social anxiety. Answering questions in class gives you social anxiety. And of course, medical school, you can't do it alone. You have to have a friend, either a study buddy or a study group. Either way, you have to make friends because you're pretty much stuck with those people for 7 years. You're stuck with those people for a really long time, and you may find out that you may actually even be working with your classmates when you graduate and you are finally doctors. You may be working together, so you have to start making friends with those people and getting used to them. Of course, there will be some personalities that you do not get along with. There will be some people that you rub shoulders with, but there shouldn't be any animosity or any hatred between your classmates, between you and your friends, because you're going to be stuck with them for a pretty long time. So if you have those short tempers, then medical school is pretty much going to be a hell of a ride for you, like literally, because you have to make friends. You can't do it alone. You can't go through medical school alone. Even I didn't go through medical school alone. So please, you have to learn that you will make friends and you have to come out of your shell if you are an introverted person. Now, the fourth thing, which is a very important point, is that you will learn a lot of new things and a lot of skills, some of which are interesting, some of which are disturbing, frankly, some of which you will actually love to learn, some of which you will ask yourself why exactly you're learning this. Some of these things will make you feel like you want to throw up. Some of these things will get your interest piqued. So whatever it may be, you will learn a lot of new things in medical school, a lot of cool procedures that you will do, a lot of things that will save the patient's life. You'll learn a lot of things that you are expected to do as an intern, you're expected to do as a 7th-year medical student, you're expected to do as a 5th-year medical student. And once you actually learn these skills, it actually makes you a better doctor, because it's not just about theory, it's not just about removing all the information, talking about the science when you can't really even draw blood from patients, you can't cannulate, you can't really catheterize, the basic things that you are expected to learn from medical school. So you will learn a lot of skills, and medical school is a hands-on thing. You can't learn medical school online, even though we are trying to do this virtual medical school program thingy, but you can't learn medical school online. You have to be physically there. You have to do it. So because there are some procedures that actually look very, very simple when you are watching someone do it, and then when you do it, it's almost close to impossible. So you really have to be there to learn these new things. Now, the fifth and final thing, which I think is the most important thing that no one actually mentions when you are getting into medical school or when you want to become a doctor, is that there's going to be a lot of disappointments, there's going to be a lot of embarrassment, there's going to be a lot of failure. Everyone has failed at one point or another. Even the professor that's teaching you, even your lecturer, even I have failed at one point. There are a lot of disappointments that are there on the road to becoming a doctor. You will fail a lot of tests, but that's not going to be the end of the world. When you're on the wards, you will be embarrassed in front of your colleagues, in front of your partners, in front of your seniors, in front of your juniors. It's part of medical school. It's part of growing as a person. It's creating this thick skin in you such that you will not give up on a patient when you have tried everything and everything has failed. You will still keep trying to save the patient's life because you are training to become a doctor. You are training to save people's lives. And if you give up easily, or if you have this mental attitude that is very weak, then a lot of people are going to die because you give up very easily. You find yourself to be a doctor that doesn't really care because you reach a point whereby, okay, I've done my part and it hasn't worked out, so what next? It's okay, I can just leave this person to die. That shouldn't be the case. You should be a doctor that actually cares because you know what you went through to actually attain where you are. But then there is also a downfall to this because this leaves a lot of medical students depressed. It leaves a lot of medical students with social anxieties and with low self-esteem because you get embarrassed by so many people in front of so many other people, and that makes it very, very difficult for you to show your face and for you to actually even answer questions the next time, because you'll be fearing that, okay, I will be embarrassed again. But please do not take it to heart. Do not be depressed. If you are depressed, find someone to talk to. You can actually find a study buddy that you're close with, and you can even talk to them. If you're finding it hard to talk to anyone, let's connect in the comment section below, or send me an email. My email is in the description. Then we can actually have a chat of how medical school is making you feel, and how exactly we can actually work on your self-esteem, how exactly we can work on your confidence in order for you not to feel depressed, because depression and suicide rates are very high among medical students because of the same reason. Because some lecturer had a very hard time becoming a doctor, so they want to make it even harder for their students. But that shouldn't be the case. We should nurture each other, we should mentor each other to actually make very good doctors. Now, there are a lot of things, and on the road to success, I hope these 5 points really help you understand what medical school is all about. If you're already in medical school, I hope they make you understand why you're going through such things, and know that you should never give up, no matter what you're going through, no matter how hard you think it is, no matter how much you're not going to get there. Do not give up, because one day you will become a doctor, and when you become a doctor, you will actually look back at these years that you're suffering, and you actually smile because you have finally made it. You have finally achieved your dream. So with that said in mind, to Zambia and beyond, my name is Dr. Moses KAZEVU. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon to be receiving notifications of such videos every time I post. Drop a like, drop a comment, and thank you for listening to this episode of How to Survive Medical School.